I never imagined that my entire world would crumble because of a piece of paper that arrived in our mailbox on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday afternoon. But looking back now, with the clarity that only comes from distance and pain, I realized that the signs had been there all along. I just needed the right lens to see them. My name is Tom Wilson, and I'm about to tell you how I discovered my wife's affair through our smart water meter. How that discovery destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life, and how I ultimately found redemption in the most unexpected way. It was March 15th, a date that's now burned into my memory like a brand. I'd just gotten home from a particularly grueling day at Morrison and Associates, the architectural firm where I'd worked for the past 8 years. The project I was leading, a sustainable housing development on the outskirts of the city, was hitting snag after snag with the City Planning Commission. My head was pounding, my shoulders were tight with tension, and all I wanted was to grab a cold beer and collapse on the couch. The mail was stuffed haphazardly into our box, the way our postal carrier always left it when he was in a hurry. Bills, mostly. Credit card statements, mortgage payment reminder, the usual suspects. And then, there it was, the water bill from the city utilities department. I almost didn't open it. Claire usually handled the utilities. It was part of our division of labor that had evolved naturally over our 12 years of marriage. She managed the day-to-day bills. I handled investments and taxes. She scheduled home maintenance. I did the actual repairs. It worked for us. Or at least I thought it did. But something made me tear open that envelope. Maybe it was the thickness of it. Seemed heavier than usual. Maybe it was just procrastination, avoiding going inside where I'd have to pretend everything was fine when work was falling apart. Whatever the reason, I opened it. $287? The numbers stared back at me from the page, indifferent to my shock. That couldn't be right. Our water bill was never more than $130, even in the dead of summer when Claire insisted on watering her garden twice a day. "What's that, honey?" Claire's voice drifted from the house. She must have heard my car in the driveway. I walked inside, still staring at the bill. Claire was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She'd changed from her work clothes into yoga pants and an oversized sweater that had once been mine. Her blonde hair was pulled back in the messy bun she always wore when cooking, little wisps escaping to frame her face. Even after all these years, even with my head pounding and my mood sour, she could still make my heart skip a beat. "The water bill," I said, setting my laptop bag on the counter. "It's almost $300. She glanced over, knife pausing mid-chop. "That seems high. Maybe there's a mistake." "That's what I thought. I'll call them tomorrow." "Oh, don't bother. I'll handle it. You know how those customer service calls drive you crazy." She resumed chopping, the rhythmic thock of the knife against the cutting board filling the silence. "How was your day? Did the Planning Commission finally approve the revised designs?" And just like that, we moved on. I vented about work. She listened and made sympathetic noises at the right moments. We ate dinner, watched some mindless TV, and went to bed. Normal, routine, comfortable. But that number nagged at me. $287. It was like a splinter in my mind, small but impossible to ignore. Chapter 2. The pattern emerges. The next month's bill arrived on April 18th. $294. "Did you ever call about that water bill?" I asked Claire over breakfast. She was scrolling through her phone, coffee cup held absently in her other hand. Oh yeah, they said it was accurate. I guess we've been using more water." "How? We haven't changed anything." She shrugged, still not looking up from her screen. "I've been doing more laundry since I'm working from home, and I've been taking longer showers. You know, self-care and all that. Rebecca says it's important to take time for ourselves, especially when we're stressed. Rebecca was her best friend from college. recently divorced and full of advice about living your best life and prioritizing your needs. I'd never been particularly fond of Rebecca. Self-care that cost an extra $150 a month? Claire finally looked up, and there was something in her eyes I couldn't quite read. Irritation? Guilt? God, Tom, it's just water. We can afford it. Would you rather I be one of those wives who lets herself go? The conversation was veering into dangerous territory. After 12 years, you learn which battles to fight and which to let go. Of course not. You're right. I'm sorry. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Thank you. Now don't you have an early meeting? May's bill was $301. This time, I didn't say anything, but I started paying attention. Claire did seem to be doing more laundry. The washing machine was often running when I got home from work. And she'd developed a new routine. Every day around 11 a.m., she'd announce she was taking a break from work to reset and recharge. It's important to have boundaries when you work from home, she explained when I asked about it. Otherwise, you never really leave the office, you know? It made sense. Everything Claire said always made sense. She had a gift for that, making me feel like I was being unreasonable for asking questions, like I was the problem for noticing things. June's bill arrived on a Saturday, $298. I stared at it while Claire was at her Pilates class. 3 months of bills nearly triple our usual amount. That was almost $500 in extra water charges. For longer showers and more laundry, I grabbed my laptop and logged into our utility account. The city had recently upgraded to smart meters as part of their green initiative. The online portal was clunky and poorly designed. I could practically feel my architect's soul crying at the user interface. But it had one interesting feature: hourly usage data. What I found made my blood run cold. Chapter 3, Digital Breadcrumbs. The pattern was so clear, so precise, that at first I thought there had to be a mistake in the data. Every weekday, Monday through Friday, our water usage spiked dramatically from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Not just a little increase like you'd see from running a load of laundry or taking a longer shower. We're talking about the kind of usage you'd see if someone was filling a bathtub, taking a shower, and running the dishwasher all at the same time. But here's what made my stomach drop. On weekends, when I was home, the pattern completely disappeared. Normal usage all day long. During my sick day in May, I'd caught some stomach bug and spent the day in bed. No spike. During the week I'd taken off in April to visit my parents in Florida while Claire stayed home to work. No unusual usage at all. I pulled up 3 months of data, my architect's mind automatically creating patterns, correlations, seeking logic in the chaos. The precision was remarkable. Monday through Friday, usage begins climbing at 10:55 a.m. sharp spike at 11:15 a.m. peak usage, maintained from 11:15 to 12:45 p.m. gradual decline, from 12:45 to 1 p.m. return to baseline, by 1:05 p.m. total excess usage per incident. 180, 220 gallons, I did the math. That's not a long shower. That's not even a very long shower. That's filling a large bathtub to capacity, and then some. Every single weekday. My hands were shaking as I closed the laptop. Claire's Pilates class ended at noon. She'd be home soon. I needed to think. I knew her work schedule by heart. She had team meetings every morning from 10:30 to 11:30. The infamous cameras optional meetings that she always took from her office with the door closed. Then she typically worked through lunch, eating at her desk while answering emails. Or at least that's what she'd told me. "Hey, babe!" Claire's voice made me jump. I hadn't heard her come in. "What are you up to?" I quickly switched tabs to a news site. "Just reading. How was class?" "Amazing. Miranda really worked us today. I'm going to be sore tomorrow." She walked over and kissed my forehead, smelling of sweat and her expensive shampoo. I'm going to grab a quick shower. Another one? The words were out before I could stop them. She paused halfway to the stairs. What do you mean, another one? Nothing. I just. You showered this morning, and now, after Pilates. Tom, I'm literally dripping sweat. Are you seriously giving me grief about showering after working out? No, of course not. Sorry, I'm just. The water bills have been high, and I'm trying to figure out why. She sighed, the way she did when I was being difficult. We've been over this. I'm home more, I use more water. If money's tight, money's not tight. Then what's the problem? She crossed her arms, hip cocked in that defensive stance I knew so well. Do you want me to time my showers? Keep a log of every flush? Claire, come on. I'm just trying to understand. Understand what? That your wife likes to be clean? That I'm not allowed to enjoy a nice bath once in a while because you're obsessed with the water bill? Bath. She said bath, but she had told me she was taking longer showers. I didn't know you were taking baths. Something flickered across her face. Showers, baths, whatever. The point is, you're being controlling and weird about this. I'm not being. You are. You're literally interrogating me about my hygiene habits. Do you hear how that sounds? She shook her head. I'm going to shower. Try not to time me. She stomped upstairs, leaving me alone with my laptop and my growing suspicions. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling while Claire slept peacefully beside me. Her breathing was deep and even, occasionally punctuated by the soft sighs that I used to find endearing. Now they sounded like lies. Was I being paranoid? Controlling? Maybe she was right. Maybe I was making a big deal out of nothing. Lots of people take baths in the middle of the day. It was one of the perks of working from home, right? But 180, 220 gallons? Every weekday? Only when I wasn't home? I thought about confronting her directly, showing her the data. But I could already hear her response. You're tracking my water usage? You're monitoring me? Tom, that's not normal. Maybe you should talk to someone about these trust issues. And she'd be right, wouldn't she? What kind of husband analyzes water meter data to track his wife's activities? The kind whose wife is lying to him? A small voice in my head answered. Chapter 4. Investigation. The next Monday, I called in sick to work. Tom, you sound fine, Sandra, my project manager, said suspiciously. I forced a cough. It comes and goes. I think it's that bug that's been going around the office. Uh-huh. This wouldn't have anything to do with the planning commission meeting being pushed to Wednesday, would it? I wish I was that strategic. I'll try to review the modified proposals from home if I feel better later. Just rest. We'll manage. But Tom, you're a terrible liar. Whatever's really going on, I hope you sort it out. I hung up, unsettled by how easily she'd seen through me. If I was that transparent, how had I missed Claire's deception for so long? At 7:45, I kissed Claire goodbye as usual. Feel better, she said, barely looking up from her coffee and laptop. There's soup in the fridge if you get hungry. I drove to the office park 2 miles away and parked in the back of a half-empty lot. From there, I requested an Uber to take me to the coffee shop around the corner from our house. The driver, a chatty retiree named Frank, wanted to know all about my morning. Calling in sick, eh? He winked. Playing hooky? Good for you. Life's too short to work every day. Something like that. I had him drop me off 3 blocks away and walked the rest of the distance, feeling ridiculous. This was insane. I was stalking my own house. But that pattern, those precise times, that volume of water, it all meant something. I just needed to know what. I positioned myself behind the Hendersons' RV, which they kept parked on the street despite repeated HOA complaints. God bless their stubborn refusal to follow rules. It provided perfect cover to watch my own driveway. 10:45 a.m. nothing. 10:50 a.m. still nothing. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Claire would emerge to get the mail or water her plants, and I'd see that everything was normal. 10:55 a.m. a silver BMW pulled onto our street. 10:58 a.m. The BMW slowed as it approached our house. 11 a.m. it turned into our driveway. 11:02 a.m. Jake Thompson stepped out of the car. I knew Jake. Of course I knew Jake. He was Claire's work husband, the guy she was always paired with on projects, the one who made her laugh during those morning meetings, the one she'd mentioned had gone through a rough divorce last year. Poor Jake, she'd said at the time. Melissa really took him to the cleaners. Thank God they didn't have kids. Jake Thompson, with his perfect hair and his perfect teeth and his perfectly pressed shirts, even when working from home. Jake Thompson, who apparently drove a BMW that cost more than my annual salary. Jake Thompson, who walked up to my front door at 11:03 a.m. on a Monday morning and didn't knock. He used a key. Chapter 5. The Gathering Storm. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone as I recorded him entering my house. My house. With a key I didn't give him. The rational part of my brain, the part that designed load-bearing structures and calculated stress points, tried to offer innocent explanations. Maybe Claire had locked herself out once and given him a spare. Maybe he was dropping something off for work. Maybe, but I knew. In that moment, watching another man unlock my front door and walk into my home like he belonged there, I knew. I forced myself to wait. 5 minutes. 10. At 11:15, I checked the water usage app on my phone. Right on schedule, consumption was climbing rapidly. My phone buzzed with a text from Claire. Hope you're feeling better. Taking my break now. The heart emoji felt like a knife between my ribs. I texted my brother Mike. Emergency! Come to my house now. Park on Oak Street. Bring your phone. Mike responded immediately. On my way. You okay? No, hurry. Mike lived 20 minutes away on a good day. I'd have to wait. I retreated to my car, moving it to Oak Street where Mike would see it. Then I returned to my surveillance position, checking the water meter obsessively. 11:30 a.m. 125 gallons and climbing 11:45 a.m. 175 gallons 12 p.m. 210 gallons Mike's truck pulled up at 12:05. My younger brother took one look at my face and knew something was catastrophically wrong. Mike and I had been through everything together. Our parents' divorce, Dad's cancer scare, my wedding to Claire. He could read me like a blueprint. What's going on? He kept his voice low, instinctively understanding the need for stealth. I showed him everything. The water bills, the usage patterns, the BMW in our driveway, the video of Jake entering with a key. Mike's face went through several transformations, confusion, understanding, rage, before settling on a cold fury I'd only seen once before, when he'd caught his college roommate stealing from him. That's Jake from her company? The divorced guy? Yeah. How long? Based on the water bills? At least 3 months. Could be longer. Mike cracked his knuckles, a habit from his college football days that emerged when he was trying not to hit something. What's the play? I looked at the water meter on my phone. 235 gallons and holding steady. We're going in. You sure? Maybe we should wait. Get more evidence. Mike, he's in my house. In my bed. With my wife. Using my water. How much more evidence do I need? He nodded. All right, but we do this smart. Record everything. Don't touch anyone. Don't make threats. You're going to want this clean for the divorce. Divorce. The word hit me like a physical blow. This morning I'd been worried about a planning commission meeting. Now my brother was talking about divorce. Let me take lead, Mike continued. You're too emotional. Keep recording. Let me do the talking if needed. This is my house, my marriage. And that's exactly why you need to let me help. Trust me, Tom. Please. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Chapter 6. The Revelation. We approached the house at 12:20 p.m. The sound of water running was audible from the front porch. They hadn't even bothered to close the windows. Music drifted down from upstairs, something jazzy and romantic. Our wedding playlist, I realized with a sick jolt. She was playing our wedding playlist. I unlocked the door as quietly as possible, Mike right behind me. The house felt different, violated. Everything looked the same. Claire's purse on the entry table, my jacket hung on the coat rack, mail stacked neatly on the console. But it all felt foreign now, like a stage set for a life that no longer existed. We could hear them laughing upstairs. Claire's genuine laugh, the one that crinkled her eyes and made her snort slightly. The laugh I thought was reserved for me. I started recording on my phone. Mike did the same. The stairs creaked on the third step from the top. I'd been meaning to fix that for months. The laughter stopped for a moment, then resumed. They hadn't heard. The master bedroom door was open. Their clothes were scattered on the floor like breadcrumbs leading to the bathroom. Jake's perfectly pressed shirt draped over my reading chair. Claire's dress, the blue one I'd bought her for her birthday, tossed carelessly on the bed. The bathroom door was ajar, steam pouring out in thick clouds. The sound of water was louder here, punctuated by splashing and more laughter. Our Bluetooth speaker was playing At Last by Etta James, our first dance song. I looked at Mike. He nodded grimly. I kicked the door open so hard it bounced off the wall. Enjoying the water pressure, Jake? The scene that greeted me was burned instantly and permanently into my memory. Our bathtub, the vintage clawfoot tub Claire had insisted we install during our renovation, filled to the brim with bubbles. Candles on every surface. Rose petals floating in the water. An open bottle of champagne on the counter. Veuve Clicquot, I noted absurdly. The good stuff we saved for special occasions. And in the middle of it all, my wife and Jake Thompson, tangled together in a way that left no room for innocent explanations. Claire screamed, a piercing shriek that probably alerted the entire neighborhood. Jake tried to stand, slipped on the slick surface, and crashed into the glass shower door with a tremendous crash. Tom! You're supposed to be at work! Claire's voice was shrill with panic. And you're supposed to be working from home! I kept the camera steady, documenting everything. Not running a brothel. It's not, this isn't. Jake was scrambling for a towel, his perfect hair plastered to his head, all dignity gone. Isn't what? Isn't exactly what it looks like? Because it looks like you're taking a bubble bath with my wife in my house in the middle of a workday. Tom, please! Claire was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks in black rivulets. Put the phone down. We can talk about this like adults. Adults? I laughed, but it came out harsh and bitter. Adults don't sneak around. Adults don't lie. Adults don't steal water. Steal water? Jake looked confused. What are you talking about? 3 months, I shouted. 3 months of water bills, $300 a month. I thought we had a leak. Mike stepped into view. Technically, bro, you did have a leak. It's just not the kind you call a plumber for. Mike! Claire seemed to shrink even further into the bubbles. What are you doing here? Supporting my brother while he documents his wife's extramarital activities. Smile for the camera. This is illegal, Jake sputtered. You can't record us without consent. Actually, Mike said conversationally, this is Tom's house. He can record whatever he wants in his own house, especially trespassers. I'm not a trespasser. Claire invited me. Did she have the authority to do that? Mike asked. Because last I checked, this house belonged to both Tom and Claire. That makes you an unauthorized guest at best, a trespasser at worst, especially since you seem to have a key Tom didn't provide. Chapter 7. The unraveling Jake finally managed to wrap a towel around himself. My towel, I noted with disgust. The monogrammed ones Claire had given me for Christmas. I should go, he mumbled. Go. I blocked the doorway. But you just got here. Well, 2 hours ago, according to my security footage. Don't you usually stay until 1? You've got 15 more minutes. Move, Tom! Jake tried to push past me. Mike stepped up beside me, all 6, 2 inches, and 220 pounds of him. I don't think so, buddy. Not until we're done documenting this for the lawyers. What lawyers? Claire had found her voice again. Tom, we don't need lawyers. This is between us. Us? I laughed again. There is no us, Claire. Us died the moment you gave him a key to our house. Us ended when you decided our bathtub was a good place for your afternoon adventures. Us evaporated along with all that water you've been wasting. It's just water, she screamed. It's not just water, I roared back. It's trust. It's respect. It's our marriage. It's everything. Jake made another attempt to leave. This time I let him pass, but I followed him with the camera as he tried to gather his clothes from the bedroom. Don't forget your socks, I said helpfully. They're under the bed, you know, where I sleep, or used to sleep. He dressed frantically, fumbling with buttons, hopping on one foot as he tried to pull on his pants. I documented every second. Mike, I called, do me a favor. Open all the windows. What? My brother looked confused. Every window facing the street. Open them all. Understanding dawned on Mike's face. He grinned and started throwing open windows. Tom, no! Claire had wrapped herself in a robe, the silk one I'd given her for our anniversary. Don't you dare! But I was already at the master bedroom window, the one that faced the street. Hey, neighbors, I bellowed. Anybody wondering why your water pressure drops at lunchtime? Mrs. Henderson looked up from her prized rose garden, pruning shears frozen in mid-snip. Mr. Park across the street paused in washing his classic Mustang. Claire's been running an unauthorized spa service. Jake Thompson from her office has been taking baths here every lunch break. Tom, stop! Claire tried to pull me back, but Mike intercepted her. Check your water pressure, I continued. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday through Friday. If your shower runs weak, now you know why. More neighbors were emerging. Peterson from 2 doors down. The new couple from the corner house whose names I hadn't learned yet. Even teenage Tyler Martinez was recording on his phone, probably already uploading to TikTok. Jake had made it to the front door and was fumbling with the lock. Leaving so soon, I called, following him. Don't forget to leave a review. 5 stars for water pressure, -2 for the surprise inspection. He finally got the door open and stumbled outside, shirt half-buttoned, shoes in hand. The assembled neighbors watched with undisguised fascination. Show's not over, folks, I announced. Watch this! Jake made it to his BMW and frantically pressed his key fob. Nothing. He pressed again. Still nothing. Car trouble? Mike appeared beside me, casually tossing something in his hand. That's weird. This battery cable just fell off. Could happen to anyone. That's my battery cable, Jake shouted. Prove it, Mike said cheerfully. Looks like a standard cable to me. Could be anyone's. By now, half the neighborhood was watching. Mrs. Henderson had actually brought out a lawn chair and was settling in like it was a matinee performance. "This is harassment!" Jake yelled. "I'll call the police." "Please do," I said. "I'd love to explain to them how you got a key to my house without my permission. Maybe they'd be interested in the 3 months of water theft, too." "Water theft?" He looked genuinely baffled. "You're insane." "Am I? Let's do the math. 200 gallons per visit, 5 days a week, 12 weeks. That's..." I pretended to calculate. 12,000 gallons of water. At current utility rates, that's about $500. Sounds like theft to me. Chapter 8. Digital Disaster. Claire appeared on the porch, now dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, her hair still wet and tangled. "Give him his battery cable," she said coldly. "No, I don't think I will," I replied. "He seems to like spending time here so much. He can wait for AAA. "Oh, wait. Should I call them? Since apparently I'm the one who pays for all the services around here? You're being childish." "Childish?" I rounded on her. "You want to know what's childish? Sneaking around behind your husband's back. Lying every single day. Turning our home into your personal love nest while I'm at work, paying for it all." "Oh, here we go." Claire rolled her eyes. "Poor Tom, the provider. Poor Tom, the victim. Did you ever think maybe I was lonely? Maybe I needed something you weren't giving me?" "Like what? Afternoon bubble baths?" "I'm sorry I was too busy working to support us to meet your rigorous bathing schedule." "You don't understand." "Oh!" I snapped my fingers. "I almost forgot. Don't you both have actual work to do?" Claire's face went pale. "Tom, don't." "Don't what? Don't remind you about your 1:30 team meeting?" I checked my watch. "The one that starts in 18 minutes?" I jogged back upstairs, ignoring Claire's shouts behind me. Her laptop was still open on the desk in her office, multiple browser tabs open to shopping sites. So much for working through lunch. A Zoom reminder was blinking. Weekly team sync, starting in 15 minutes. "Tom, if you touch my laptop..." "Your laptop? You mean the laptop your company provided? For work? That you've been using to coordinate your affair?" I clicked join meeting early. "Tom, no!" The screen filled with the waiting room message. Perfect. I positioned the laptop for optimal drama and waited. One by one, faces began appearing. Claire's team. "Hey everyone," I said brightly as the meeting started. "Claire's running a bit late. She's just finishing up her lunch meeting with Jake. You know, the one they have every day from 11 to 1. Confused faces stared back at me. Someone muted themselves quickly, but not before I heard laughter. "Who are you?" a woman I recognized as Claire's manager asked. "I'm Tom, Claire's husband, the one who pays the water bill. Speaking of which, did you know that Jake and Claire's project collaboration uses about 200 gallons of water per session?" The chat exploded. People were typing frantically. Someone was definitely recording. Claire burst into the room and tried to grab the laptop. I held it out of reach. As you can see, she's very passionate about her work, or at least about her coworker. Is this some kind of joke? The manager's face was stern now. I wish. But no, this is very real. In fact, if you check your employee handbook, I believe there are some pretty clear policies about relationships between team members, especially relationships conducted on company time. I turned the laptop camera toward the window where Jake was still standing by his disabled car, now on his phone and gesticulating wildly. "There's Jake! He seems to be having car trouble. Probably all that steam from their bathroom sessions corroded his engine." "Mr. Wilson." The manager's voice cut through the chaos. "This is highly inappropriate." "You know what's inappropriate?" I interrupted. "Using company time for personal activities. lying to your employer about your whereabouts, conducting an affair during work hours. Should I send you the water usage data? I have 3 months of evidence showing their meeting schedule. Claire finally managed to wrestle the laptop away and slammed it shut, but the damage was done. You just ruined my career, she screamed, tears streaming down her face. No, I said quietly. You did that yourself. I just provided the evidence. Chapter 9. The aftermath begins. The rest of that day blurred together like watercolors in the rain. Jake finally got his Uber and slunk away, but not before Mrs. Henderson loudly offered him her garden hose if he needed to rinse off. The neighbors eventually dispersed, though I could see curtains twitching and phones being raised to windows for the rest of the afternoon. Claire locked herself in the guest room, her office, and I could hear her on frantic phone calls. Damage control, probably. Good luck with that, I thought bitterly. In the age of social media, this story was probably already spreading through her company like wildfire. Mike stayed with me, ordering pizza and keeping me company as I processed what had happened. We sat on the back deck, beers in hand, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of betrayal. You okay? He asked after a long silence. I don't know, I admitted. I mean, I knew when I saw that pattern. Part of me knew, but seeing it, yeah. Mike took a long pull from his beer. For what it's worth, you handled it better than I would have. Did I? I just humiliated her in front of the entire neighborhood. And her co-workers. She humiliated herself. You just pulled back the curtain. We sat in silence for a while. Inside, I could hear Claire moving around, drawers opening and closing. Packing, probably. You know what the worst part is? I said finally. What? The water bill. I mean, of all the ways to find out your wife is cheating, it's because she was too cheap to get a hotel room. Mike nearly choked on his beer. When you put it that way, $300 a month in extra water, Mike. They could have gotten a nice hotel room for that. Hell, they could have gotten a suite at the Marriott. But no, they had to use my house. My bathtub, my water pressure. Your rose petals, Mike added. There were rose petals? Dude, you didn't see the rose petals? They were everywhere, floating in the water like a damn romance novel. I groaned. I'm going to be finding those things forever, aren't I? Probably. But hey, look at the bright side. There's a bright side? Sure, your water bill's about to go way down. Despite everything, I laughed. It was either that or cry, and I wasn't ready to cry yet. That would come later, in the dark hours of the night, when the reality of my shattered marriage settled in like fog. Tom? Claire's voice came from the sliding door. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Her eyes were red and puffy, her face blotchy from crying. Can we talk? Mike started to get up, but I waved him down. Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of Mike. She flinched but nodded. Fine. I just wanted you to know I'll be staying with Rebecca tonight. I'll come back for my things later this week. Rebecca, of course. The bitter irony wasn't lost on me. Rebecca, who'd been filling Claire's head with ideas about self-care and living authentically. Had she known? Had she been covering for Claire? Tom, Claire started, then stopped. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I am. This isn't how I wanted things to end. How did you want them to end, Claire? With me never finding out? With you and Jake playing house in my bathtub indefinitely? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Help me understand? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me for months. Every morning when you kissed me goodbye, every evening when you asked about my day, every night when you slept beside me, all lies. She was crying again, but I felt numb to it. Those tears had worked on me for 12 years. Not anymore. I fell out of love with you, she said quietly. I didn't mean to. It just happened. And Jake was there, and he understood me and... Understood you? What was there to understand? That you wanted afternoon bubble baths? That you missed being single? What exactly did I fail to understand, Claire? You were always working, always stressed about some project or deadline or budget. When was the last time we did anything spontaneous? When was the last time you looked at me like I was more than just part of the furniture? So you decided to redecorate with Jake? That's not fair. Fair? I stood up so fast my chair tipped over. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been talking to me about your feelings. Fair would have been marriage counseling. Fair would have been separating before you started sleeping with someone else. Fair would have been basic human decency. I know, she whispered. I know. I handled this all wrong. You think? She turned to go, then paused. For what it's worth, the water bill thing, that's actually kind of impressive, in a creepy, obsessive way. Get out. She left. I heard her car start, heard the garage door close, heard my marriage drive away into the night. Mike righted my chair and handed me a fresh beer. So, what now? Now? I looked at the stars starting to appear in the darkening sky. Now I call a lawyer, change the locks, and probably get a plumber to check that bathtub. I don't think I can ever use it again. Fair enough. Want me to stay tonight? No, thanks, but I need to be alone for a while. Process all this. Mike squeezed my shoulder. Call if you need anything. And Tom, you did the right thing. It hurts like hell now, but you did the right thing. Chapter 10. Legal Maneuvers. The next morning came too soon, and not soon enough. I'd barely slept, spending most of the night staring at the ceiling and replaying 12 years of marriage, looking for signs I'd missed. They were there, of course. Little things that seemed innocent at the time, but now glowed like neon warnings in hindsight, the way she'd started password protecting her phone about 6 months ago. Work stuff, she'd said. Company policy. The new lingerie that appeared in her drawer but never made an appearance in our bedroom. The sudden interest in jazz music, Jake's influence, no doubt. The way she'd stopped asking about my day with genuine interest, going through the motions like an actress who'd grown tired of her role. At 8 a.m. sharp, I called Patricia Winters, a divorce attorney recommended by a colleague who'd been through a similar situation. Her assistant squeezed me in for an emergency consultation that afternoon. Bring any documentation you have, the assistant advised. Financial records, evidence of infidelity, anything relevant. Evidence of infidelity. Such a clinical term for such a messy reality. I spent the morning organizing everything. The water bills, screenshots of the usage data, the videos from yesterday. I even drove to the bank and got 3 years of statements, highlighting every suspicious transaction I could find. There weren't many. Claire had been careful. But there were a few dinners at restaurants I didn't recognize, charges from hotels during times she'd claimed to be at conferences. Had the whole marriage been a lie? No, I decided. The early years had been real. We'd been happy once, genuinely happy. Somewhere along the way, that happiness had curdled into routine, and routine had bred contempt, and contempt had led to this. Patricia Winters' office was exactly what you'd expect from a high-powered divorce attorney. Sleek, modern, intimidating. Patricia herself was a woman in her 50s with silver hair and eyes like a hawk. So, she said, reviewing my documentation, you discovered the affair through water consumption patterns? I know it sounds crazy. Actually, it sounds brilliant. I've seen text messages, emails, credit card receipts, even Fitbit data. But utility bills? That's a first? She smiled like a shark scenting blood. The fact that she gave him a key without your knowledge, the pattern of deception, the use of marital assets to facilitate the affair, we have a very strong case. I don't want to destroy her, I said, surprising myself with the truth of it. I just want this to be fair. Patricia leaned back in her chair. Mr. Wilson, I appreciate that sentiment. But let me be clear. Your wife has been conducting an affair in your home for at least 3 months. She's been lying to you, to her employer, and using marital resources to facilitate this deception. Fair is getting what you're entitled to under the law. We discussed strategy, division of assets, next steps. Patricia was particularly interested in the employment angle. If she's terminated for cause, conducting personal business on company time, that could affect alimony calculations. Do you know her company's policies? I know they have strict guidelines about relationships between team members, and I'm pretty sure afternoon baths with coworkers isn't covered under acceptable use of flex time. Patricia actually laughed. I'd imagine not. Now, about the house. The house. Our dream home. The one we'd bought as newlyweds and slowly renovated over the years. Every room held memories. Every improvement had been a joint decision, a shared vision of our future. I want to keep it, I said firmly. She can have her share of the equity, but I want the house. Given that she was conducting the affair there, we can certainly argue that she forfeited any sentimental claim. But be prepared. This could get ugly. Ugly. As if it wasn't already. Chapter 11. Going viral. By the time I left Patricia's office, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Texts, calls, social media notifications. I'd turned off most alerts after the incident, but some were getting through. A text from my boss. Tom, call me. There's something online you need to see. Another from a coworker. Dude, is this you? Link. Against my better judgment, I clicked the link. Tyler Martinez, the teenage neighbor, had indeed uploaded his video to TikTok. The caption read, My neighbor caught his wife cheating BC of the water bill, wait for it. The video had been edited with dramatic music and zoom-ins at key moments. My shouting from the window. Jake fumbling with his car. Claire appearing on the porch. Mike holding the battery cable. 2.3 million views. 450K likes. 87K comments. The comments ranged from supportive to savage. Not the water bill detective work. Jake really thought he was slick. The way he said enjoying the water pressure has me deceased. Team Tom, Claire belongs to the streets. Imagine ruining your marriage over bath time. The neighbors eating this drama up is sending me. Someone had even created a remix, setting my window shouting to a beat. That had another 1,000,000 views. Reddit had picked it up too. The post on our relationships was titled, Husband catches wife cheating thanks to smart water meter, with video. The top comment was a detailed analysis of water costs across different cities, calculating exactly how much Jake and Claire's meetings had cost over 3 months. Someone else had created a spreadsheet template for suspicious utility usage tracking. My phone rang. Sandra from work. Tom, I just saw... Is this real? Unfortunately, yes. Oh my God, are you okay? Do you need more time off? I'm processing, but I'll be in tomorrow. I need the distraction. Take all the time you need. And Tom, I'm sorry. Nobody deserves this. More calls followed. Friends, family, numbers I didn't recognize. Probably reporters. I let them all go to voicemail. Then a text from a number I didn't know. Hi, Tom. I'm a producer with the morning show. We'd love to have you on to discuss your story and the importance of paying attention to household data. Please call me. Delete. Another. Mr. Wilson, I represent a home security company that would like to partner with you. delete. And another. Tom, I'm going through something similar. Your story gave me the courage to check my own bills. That one I saved. Chapter 12. Unexpected Consequences. The next few days blurred together in a haze of legal meetings, locksmith appointments, and avoided phone calls. Claire had been terminated from her position, along with Jake. Turns out their company had a zero-tolerance policy for relationships that weren't disclosed to HR, especially when those relationships involved time theft and misuse of company resources. She texted me once. I hope you're happy. You've ruined my life. I didn't respond. What was there to say? That she'd ruined her own life? That actions have consequences? That maybe she should have thought about this before turning our home into a day spa? The water bill for July arrived early. I opened it with shaking hands. $87. I actually laughed. $87. Normal. Reasonable. Honest. I framed that bill and hung it in the bathroom, right where Claire used to keep her collection of inspirational quotes. Live, laugh, love was replaced by cold, hard proof of reality. Mike thought I was crazy. You're literally displaying your divorce on the wall. No, I corrected. I'm displaying my freedom. Do you know what $87 means? It means no one is lying to me. No one is sneaking around. No one is taking advantage of my trust or my water pressure. When you put it that way, it's still weird, bro. But I didn't care. That bill represented truth, as strange as that sounds. What I hadn't expected was the flood of messages from others who discovered similar patterns. My inbox was full of stories. A woman who'd noticed their garage door opening at unusual times when her husband was supposedly at work. Turned out he was letting his girlfriend park inside to hide her car. A man who'd discovered his wife's affair through their smart TV's viewing history, romantic movies watched during hours she claimed to be at book club. Another woman who'd noticed their guest room's smart thermostat adjusting temperatures when no guests were staying over. The stories kept coming. Each one a variation on the same theme. The technology we'd invited into our homes to make life easier had become an inadvertent witness to deception. I started responding to some of them, offering support and practical advice. Check your bills. Trust your instincts. Document everything. Don't confront without evidence. Get a good lawyer. Without meaning to, I'd become some sort of expert on technological infidelity detection. Chapter 13. Building Something New. 3 months after that fateful Tuesday, I started a blog called What Your Utility Bills Are Really Telling You. The tagline: Your house knows when someone's cheating. You just have to listen. The first post was my own story, told in detail, with practical advice woven throughout. I included screenshots of the water data, explanations of what to look for, and resources for those who found themselves in similar situations. The response was overwhelming. Within 24 hours, the post had been shared thousands of times. Comments poured in from people who'd found evidence in their own utility bills, smart home devices, and digital footprints. I followed up with more posts. The Digital Breadcrumbs of Deception, a guide. Unusual patterns in utility usage. Smart device activity during suspicious hours. Financial transactions that don't add up changes in digital behavior patterns. Is your smart home smarter than your spouse thinks? Doorbell cameras with deleted footage thermostat adjustments when spouse claims to be away. Smart speakers showing unknown device connections. Router logs revealing hidden activities. The technology that saved my sanity. How data helped me trust my instincts. The importance of documentation. Why patterns matter more than single incidents. Building a case with digital evidence. The blog evolved into a resource hub. I partnered with a cybersecurity expert named David Chen to create guides on checking router logs safely and legally, understanding smart meter data, recognizing suspicious financial patterns, protecting yourself digitally during divorce. I was careful to emphasize that technology should confirm suspicions, not create them. Trust is the foundation of any relationship. But when that trust is broken, data doesn't lie. Chapter 14. The Unexpected Meeting. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Jake at a hardware store. He was in the plumbing aisle of all places, examining shower heads with intense concentration. He saw me and froze, holding a rainfall shower head like a shield. "Tom," he said carefully, as if my name might explode. "Jake, shopping for your own bathroom now?" He had the decency to look embarrassed. "Look, I wanted to apologize. What happened was wrong. I knew it was wrong, and I did it anyway." "Water under the bridge?" I suggested, unable to resist. "That's not funny." "It's a little funny." He shifted uncomfortably, still clutching the shower head. "For what it's worth, Claire and we didn't last. After everything became public, after we both lost our jobs, the magic was gone, you know?" "The magic? Is that what you're calling it?" "You know what I mean. Without the sneaking around, without my water pressure in my bathtub?" He winced. "Yeah, that. Can I give you some advice, Jake?" He nodded warily. "Next time you want to have an affair, spring for a hotel. It's cheaper in the long run, and definitely less likely to go viral." "There won't be a next time," he said quietly. "I learned my lesson, lost my job, my reputation. I'm working at my dad's hardware store now." He gestured at his employee vest. "Karma, right? The guy who helped destroy a marriage now sells fixtures to repair homes." Despite everything, I felt a twinge of pity. "We all make mistakes, Jake. The key is learning from them." "Did you?" "Learn from yours, I mean." I thought about it. My mistake was not paying attention. Not to the bills, but to my marriage. Claire was right about one thing. I had been absent, focused on work instead of us. The signs were there. I just chose not to see them. "She talked about you sometimes," Jake said, "during our time together. She missed who you used to be, said you used to be spontaneous, romantic, that you'd surprise her with weekend trips and flowers for no reason. And instead of talking to me about it, she decided to relive those feelings with you." Yeah, I'm not making excuses for either of us, just maybe it wasn't all black and white. "No," I agreed. "It never is. But betrayal is still betrayal, whether the marriage was perfect or not." We stood there awkwardly for a moment, two men whose lives had intersected in the worst possible way. "I should go," Jake finally said. "But Tom, I really am sorry for everything." "I know," I said and meant it. "Take care, Jake. And seriously, hotels. They exist for a reason." He almost smiled. Noted. Chapter 15. New Beginnings. The blog had evolved into something bigger than I'd ever imagined. What started as a way to process my pain had become a business. I partnered with David Chen to create an app called Truth Meter, a platform that helped people monitor their smart home data for unusual patterns. We were careful with the marketing. This wasn't about spying or paranoia. It was about awareness, about understanding the digital footprint of our daily lives. The app could flag unusual utility usage, identify unknown devices on networks, and track patterns that might indicate problems, not just infidelity, but also potential break-ins, utility leaks, or system malfunctions. "You've turned pain into purpose," my therapist, Dr. Martinez, observed during one of our sessions. Yes, I'd started therapy. Discovering your wife's affair via water bill doesn't exactly leave you emotionally unscathed. I guess I have, I admitted. Is that healthy? What do you think? I hated when she did that, turning questions back on me, but I'd learned to play along. I think it's better than wallowing. And if my experience can help others avoid the same pain, or at least confirm their suspicions before they waste years in denial, then maybe some good comes from it. And personally, how are you doing with trust, with the idea of future relationships? That was the million-dollar question. I'd started dating again, cautiously. A few coffee meetings that went nowhere. One dinner date that ended with the woman recognizing me as the water bill guy and spending the entire meal asking about Claire and Jake. That was a hard pass on a second date. But then, at a business conference in Chicago, I met Sarah. Chapter 16. Sarah. She was presenting on digital marketing strategies in the session before mine. Confident, articulate, with a self-deprecating humor that had the audience eating out of her hand. When she mentioned the importance of paying attention to patterns in user data, she caught my eye and winked. After my presentation on digital footprints, what your smart home reveals about your life, she approached me at the coffee station. So, you're the famous water bill detective, she said, extending her hand. Sarah Chen. And before you ask, no relation to your business partner David, despite the shared last name. Tom Wilson, and I prefer utility usage analyst. Thank you very much. She laughed. Of course you do. Your presentation was fascinating. Terrifying, but fascinating. Terrifying? I had no idea my house was collecting that much data on me. I'm half tempted to go back to analog everything. Or, I suggested, you could just live an honest life. The data's only scary if you have something to hide. Fair point. Coffee? And by coffee, I mean actual coffee, not a euphemism for an afternoon bath. I nearly spit out the sip I'd just taken. That's terrible. Too soon? No, actually. It's kind of refreshing. Most people either pretend they don't know my story or want to dissect every detail. Well, I know the broad strokes. Wife, coworker, suspicious water bills, viral confrontation, successful business pivot. It's like a modern tragedy turned entrepreneurial success story. When you put it that way, it sounds almost respectable. We talked through the break, comparing notes on our presentations, discussing the conference, finding easy common ground. She was the marketing director for a sustainable technology company, passionate about her work, but not consumed by it. Work-life balance is crucial, she said. I learned that the hard way during my first marriage. You were married? 5 years. Ended amicably when we realized we wanted different things. He wanted kids and a house in the suburbs. I wanted to travel and focus on my career. No villains, no drama, just two people who grew in different directions. That sounds remarkably mature. Well, I left out the 6 months of couples therapy and the very immature fight over who got to keep the Instant Pot. But yes, generally mature. We had dinner that night, ostensibly to discuss potential collaboration between our companies. But conversation flowed beyond business, touching on everything from favorite travel destinations to childhood fears to our mutual love of terrible reality TV. I have a confession, she said over dessert. I watched your video, the original TikTok and several of the remixes. Oh God, which remix? The one set to It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. I groaned. That's the worst one. I don't know. The lyrics kind of fit. Saw the marks on my shoulder. Wasn't me. Heard the words that I told her. Wasn't me. Heard the screams getting louder. Wasn't me. Please stop. She even caught me on camera. Despite myself, I laughed. You're terrible. I prefer delightfully irreverent. But seriously, how do you deal with being internet famous for the worst day of your life? I considered the question. By owning it, I guess. I can't change what happened. I can't erase the videos or the memes or the remixes, but I can control the narrative going forward. Hence the blog, the app, the presentations, turning lemons into lemonade. More like turning excess water usage into a sustainable business model, but sure. She smiled. You know, most people would have just wallowed, maybe posted a few angry Facebook rants and called it a day. But you built something meaningful from your pain. That's attractive. Attractive? Don't let it go to your head, Waterbill guy. Chapter 17. Moving forward. Sarah and I began dating, taking things slow. I was upfront about my baggage, my trust issues, the fact that I now compulsively checked utility bills, and noticed every unusual pattern in daily routines. That's fair, she said on our third date. But just so you know, I take really long showers. Like, really long. It's my thinking time. How long are we talking? 20 minutes minimum, sometimes 30 if I'm solving a particularly complex problem. I can live with that, as long as it's just you in there. Scouts honor. Though I should mention I was kicked out of Girl Scouts for starting an unsanctioned cookie selling operation. A rebel. I should have known. She met Mike first, a casual introduction that turned into a 3-hour conversation about football, craft beer, and embarrassing stories from my childhood. I like her, Mike told me later. She doesn't take your crap, but she also doesn't dismiss what you went through. That's a good balance. You think I have crap? Tom, you framed a water bill and hung it in your bathroom. It's a conversation starter. It's weird, bro. But she seems to get your weird, so that's something. Sarah did get it. She understood why I needed transparency, why I sometimes asked one too many questions about her day, why I occasionally went quiet when I saw certain brands of bubble bath in stores. You're allowed to have triggers, she said one evening as we cooked dinner together. What happened to you was traumatic. Just talk to me when you're spiraling, okay? Don't let it fester. I'm working on it. Dr. Martinez says I'm making progress. Good, because I really like you, Tom Wilson, even if you are internet famous for the weirdest reason ever. Weirdest? Have you seen some of the things people go viral for? Fine. Top 10 weirdest. I'll take it. Chapter 18. Full Circle. 2 years after that fateful Tuesday, I was invited to give a TEDx talk. What your smart home knows about your life. Standing on that stage, looking out at hundreds of faces, I reflected on the strange journey that had brought me there. From betrayed husband to viral sensation to entrepreneur to whatever I was now. Advocate? Expert? Cautionary tale? We live in an age of unprecedented connectivity, I began, clicking to my first slide, that $287 water bill. Our homes are smarter than ever. They know when we wake up, when we leave, what we watch, how much water we use. But here's the thing. They're not just collecting data. They're telling stories. Stories about our lives, our habits, our relationships. I talked about my own story, the pain of discovery, the humiliation of going viral, the unexpected positive outcomes. But more importantly, I talked about the broader implications. We've invited these devices into our most intimate spaces, given them access to our daily routines. And while they make life more convenient, they also create a permanent record of our actions. Every smart device is a potential witness. I clicked through slides showing various smart home devices, statistics on data collection, examples of patterns that might indicate problems. I'm not here to make you paranoid. I'm not suggesting you spy on your loved ones or obsess over every data point. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship. But I am saying this. Pay attention. Your house is talking to you. The question is, Are you listening? Some of you might be thinking, this guy is crazy. He's turned a personal tragedy into a business model. And you're not wrong. But here's what I've learned. The truth has a way of surfacing. In my case, it literally flowed to the surface at about 15 gallons per minute. The audience laughed, as they always did at that line. The real lesson isn't about catching cheaters or monitoring utility bills. It's about awareness. It's about understanding that our actions have digital footprints. It's about recognizing that in an age of smart technology, secrets are harder to keep. But more importantly, it's about honesty. If someone needs to sneak around, if they need to lie and deceive and literally wash away evidence of their activities, then maybe that relationship isn't worth having. You deserve someone who can be truthful about their water usage and everything else. I clicked to my final slide, a photo of Sarah and me at the launch party for Truth Meter 2.0, comma, both of us laughing at something off camera. These days, my water bill is predictable, boring even. My girlfriend takes her thinking showers, I run the dishwasher more than I should, and nobody is hiding anything. The bill tells the story of a normal, honest life, and that's exactly how I like it. So check your bills. Understand your data. Not because you're looking for deception, but because you're looking for truth. And sometimes, the truth is hiding in the most unexpected places. Like a $287 water bill. Thank you. The applause was warm, genuine. As I left the stage, I felt a chapter closing. Not the end of the story, but the end of defining myself by that one terrible day. Chapter 19. The Reunion. It was a Thursday afternoon in October when I saw her. I was at the downtown Whole Foods, debating between two types of pasta sauce. Sarah was coming over for dinner, and I wanted to impress her with my very basic cooking skills, when I heard a familiar laugh. Claire was 2 aisles over, examining organic produce with the same intensity she'd once reserved for choosing throw pillows. She looked different. Shorter hair, more casual clothes, a tiredness around her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. I could have left. Could have abandoned my cart and slipped out before she saw me. But something? Curiosity? Closure? Masochism? Made me stay. She looked up as I approached, and I saw the moment of recognition, the flash of panic, the forced composure. Tom. Her voice was carefully neutral. Claire. We stood there, two people who had once promised to love each other forever, now strangers in the vegetable aisle. How are you? She asked, because what else do you say to someone whose life you imploded? Good. Really good, actually. You? I'm managing. She gestured vaguely at her basket, which contained the single-serving meals of someone cooking for one. Just picking up a few things. Same. Silence stretched between us, filled with all the things we couldn't say. I'm sorry. I hate you. I miss who we used to be. How did we get here? I heard about your business, she said finally. The app and everything. Congratulations. Thanks. I heard you're working at Morrison Tech now. Her eyes widened. How did you? LinkedIn. We still have mutual connections. Right, of course. She shifted her basket to her other arm. It's a good company. Fresh start. That's good. Fresh starts are important. Tom, She started, then stopped. I know it doesn't matter now, but I am sorry. For how things ended. For how I handled everything. You deserved better. I'd imagined this moment countless times. Claire apologizing, me either graciously accepting or coldly rejecting her words. But standing there, seeing the genuine regret in her eyes, I just felt tired. Tired of carrying the anger. Tired of being defined by her betrayal. We both made mistakes, I said, surprising myself. I wasn't the husband you needed. You weren't honest about what you wanted. It's done. Just like that? You forgive me? I forgive myself, I clarified, for not seeing what was happening, for losing sight of our marriage before you did. Forgiving you, that's a work in progress. But I don't hate you anymore, if that helps. She smiled sadly. It does, actually. I hate myself enough for both of us most days. Don't. It's not worth the energy, says the man who framed a water bill. Despite everything, I laughed. You heard about that? Rebecca told me. She said it was either the saddest or most empowering thing she'd ever heard. It's a little of both. Are you seeing anyone? The question seemed to surprise her as much as it did me. I am. Her name's Sarah. She's great. Good. That's good. You deserve to be happy. So do you, Claire. Despite everything, I mean that. Her eyes filled with tears. Thank you. That means more than you know. We parted ways shortly after. No hugs or promises to stay in touch. Just two people who had loved and failed, acknowledging the past and moving forward separately. As I drove home, I realized the anger was truly gone. In its place was something lighter. Not quite forgiveness, not quite indifference, but a kind of peaceful acceptance. Claire was just a person who had made selfish choices. I was just a person who had neglected his marriage. We were both flawed humans doing our best and sometimes failing spectacularly. The water bill on my bathroom wall suddenly seemed less like a monument to betrayal and more like a reminder of a chapter that was closed. Chapter 20. The Proposal. I think it's time, I told Mike over beers 6 months later. Time for what? To take down the water bill? Thank God, that thing is creepy. No, the bill stays. I mean, it's time to propose to Sarah. Mike nearly choked on his beer. Seriously? You're ready for that? Yeah, I am. And I was. 2.5 years of dating, Sarah had shown me what a healthy relationship looked like. Communication, trust, respect, laughter, no secrets, no lies, no mysterious utility spikes. Have you picked out a ring? Not yet. I wanted to run it by you first. Make sure I'm not crazy. You're definitely crazy, but not about this. Sarah's perfect for you. She calls you on your nonsense but supports your weird. She laughs at your terrible jokes. She didn't run screaming when she found out you were the water bill guy. If that's not love, I don't know what is. So you approve? I approved from day one, bro. But it's nice that you asked. How are you going to do it? I don't know yet. Something simple, meaningful, definitely not involving any utilities. Mike laughed. Yeah, probably best to keep water bills out of the proposal. But as I thought about it over the next few weeks, I realized that our story, Sarah's and mine, was intertwined with that original tale. We'd met because of my presentation about digital footprints. Our first real conversation had been about the water bill incident. She'd seen me at my worst, via viral video, before she ever saw me at my best. The proposal came together naturally. I arranged a private cooking class for us at her favorite restaurant, the place we'd had our first official date. After we'd successfully made and eaten a 3-course meal, the chef brought out dessert. I didn't remember ordering dessert, Sarah said, eyeing the covered plate suspiciously. Special addition to the menu, I said, my heart hammering. She lifted the cloche to reveal not dessert, but a small leather journal. What's this? Open it. Inside, I documented our relationship. Not with data or utility bills, but with memories. Ticket stubs from concerts we'd attended. Photos from our travels. Receipt from our first coffee together at that conference. Little notes we'd left each other. Evidence of a life built together, honestly and openly. On the last page, taped next to a photo of us laughing at Mike's last barbecue, was the ring. Sarah, I began, dropping to one knee as understanding dawned on her face. You've taught me that the best relationships don't need to be monitored or tracked or analyzed. They just need to be lived honestly and fully. You've seen me at my worst. Literally, it's on TikTok. And somehow decided I was worth loving anyway. Will you marry me? She was crying and laughing at the same time. Yes, of course, yes. But I have one condition. Anything? We're getting a place with really good water pressure. I'm not giving up my thinking showers. Deal. Unlimited thinking showers. I'll put it in the vows. You better. Epilogue. 5 years later. The frame still hangs in our bathroom, though we've moved twice since then. That $287 water bill, now slightly faded, a monument to the strange turns life can take. Daddy, why do you have a bill on the wall? Our daughter Emma asks, pointing with a toothbrush foam finger. It's a reminder, I tell her, lifting her up to brush her teeth at the sink. That houses tell stories. What story does our house tell? A happy one, Sarah says from the doorway, 8 months pregnant with our second child. About a family that takes very long showers and never lies about it. Emma giggles. Mommy's showers are super long. That's because Mommy does her best thinking in the shower, Sarah defends. How do you think I come up with ways to negotiate your bedtime? No, negotiate bedtime, Emma protests through toothpaste. I rinse her brush and help her down. Go pick out your pajamas. I'll be there in a minute. She scampers off, leaving Sarah and I alone in the bathroom with that old water bill. Do you ever regret keeping it? She asks, wrapping her arms around me from behind. No, it's part of our story, the painful part that led to the good part. Our friends think we're weird. Our friends are right, but weird works for us. She laughs and I feel it against my back. That it does, water bill guy. The business has evolved beyond anything I could have imagined. Truth Meter is now used by thousands of people, not just for relationship monitoring, but for general home awareness. We've helped people discover water leaks, energy waste, and yes, infidelity. But more importantly, we've helped people understand their digital footprints and take control of their data. David Chen and I sold majority stake to a larger tech company last year, though I remain on as a consultant and the face of the brand. The money from that sale bought this house, our dream home, with excellent water pressure and a bathtub that's never seen rose petals. Claire remarried 2 years ago. I know because she sent me an email, brief, polite, just letting me know in case we ever ran into each other. I wished her well and meant it. Everyone deserves a second chance at happiness. Jake moved to Seattle, according to LinkedIn. Still in tech, still single as far as I know. I hope he learned something from our collective disaster, though I'll never know for sure. Mike is Emma's godfather and the best uncle a kid could ask for. He's engaged now to a wonderful woman named Patricia, who finds our whole story fascinatingly dysfunctional, but ultimately heartwarming. She fits right in. My parents, who divorced when I was 15, find it hilarious that their son became famous for catching a cheater. At least you learned what not to do from us, Mom likes to say. Dad just shakes his head and mutters about kids these days and their technology. The viral video still circulates, popping up every few months on different platforms. Someone made it into a Netflix documentary last year. Love, Lies, and Leaders, the water bill scandal. We didn't participate, but they did a decent job with publicly available information. Sarah and I watched it with popcorn and wine, sparkling cider for her, laughing at the dramatic reenactments. They made me look so sinister, I complained, as the actor playing me studied water bills with an intense expression. You were pretty intense, Sarah reminded me. Remember when you made that spreadsheet with hourly consumption patterns? That spreadsheet was a thing of beauty. That spreadsheet was unhinged. It was beautifully unhinged. I'll give you that. Dr. Martinez officially discharged me from therapy last year, declaring me successfully processed and remarkably well-adjusted considering. I still check in occasionally when life gets overwhelming, but the wound that brought me to her office has healed into a scar I rarely notice. The TED Talk led to a book deal, which I turned down 3 times before Sarah convinced me to write it. How to Listen to Your House, A Guide to Digital Awareness in Modern Relationships, comes out next month. The dedication reads, "To Sarah, who takes long showers and tells the truth about them, and to Emma, who reminds me daily that the best stories are the ones we're still writing. Tonight, after Emma's asleep and Sarah's soaking in her nightly thinking session, I stand in my home office looking at the wall of press clippings, awards, and memories from this strange journey. The Entrepreneur of the Year award sits next to a printed screenshot of the original TikTok video. A photo from our wedding is propped against the first truth meter prototype. My phone buzzes with an email from a journalist wanting to do a Where Are They Now piece for the 5-year anniversary of the viral video. I delete it without responding. That story has been told. The story I'm interested in now is quieter. It's about building trust one day at a time. It's about teaching my daughter to be honest and aware. It's about supporting my wife's thinking showers and her brilliant career. It's about creating a home where secrets aren't necessary because truth is safer than deception." "Tom," Sarah calls from the bathroom. "Can you bring me a towel?" "Just a towel," I call back. "No rose petals? No champagne?" "The only thing floating in here is my pregnancy pillow, and the only drinking I'm doing is water because heartburn is real." Romantic. "You want romance?" "I'm growing your child while figuring out how to restructure our entire marketing division. That's peak romance." She's right, of course. This is romance. Real, honest, sometimes unglamorous romance. The kind that doesn't need to hide in the middle of the day. The kind that shows up in water bills exactly as it should. 2 adults and 1 very splash-happy child using a reasonable amount of water for their daily lives. I grab a towel from the linen closet and head to the bathroom, pausing to look at that old framed bill one more time. $287. The price of deception. The cost of truth. The beginning of everything. "You coming?" Sarah calls. "Yeah," I answer. "I'm coming." And I am. Moving forward, one honest day at a time, in a house that tells the story of a life lived openly. The water meter spins outside, recording every drop, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Because now I know. The truth always surfaces. Sometimes it arrives in an envelope, hidden in plain sight among the mundane details of daily life. Sometimes it takes a while to recognize. But when you're paying attention, really paying attention, your house will tell you everything you need to know. You just have to listen, and maybe check your water bill.